Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Navtastic, podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Fernandes, and
I'm Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
we're about to review Dating Game from season 6 of Laverne Shirley, directed by the inimitable Penny Marshall and written by Al Eichmann. And I bet you Chris has some facts about both those folks, and we know much about Penny. So
Yeah. We'll have a few about Al and some about Penny. Mostly I did the actor notes for this time around. We have some cool ones for that.
Oh yeah, I was very curious about the backgrounds of Monique and
Mr. Gattenby.
good old Bob here.
Yeah.
This number one. It's number one, not number two. And here's what the episode's about. The boys drive Laverne and Shirley to an audition for the dating game and find themselves auditioning as well after picking aphids and other insects off of dating game host Jim Lang's windshield. The girls' horror, the boys are selected to be on the show instead of their bosom chums, and so the girls stay home with Carmine and Sonny to watch the festivities. Lenny and Squiggy are pitted head-to-head to win the affections of the vivacious but vacuous Monique. Which boy will she select, or will she go for the handsome bachelor number one, Bob? What do you think of this episode?
It was everything and more that you and the others in the fandom told me it was going to be.
Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorites. This is a really good episode. It's so much fun. Penny directs it brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
The script is brilliant. It's funny. It's raunchy. It's hilarious. It's one of the better boy-centric episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Though not quite as emotional as Duke of Squigman or the upcoming Helmet Weekend or even Night of the Awards, which are all ahead of us. But yeah, it's a darn good one.
It's a darn good one. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. What also really gets me about this one is it has a certain comfortable honesty to it. And, with I mentioned at the start that, John Tracy came in to, as the new director on the block, and there seemed to be something that was kind of almost like something was changing, and I wasn't sure if it was necessarily good or bad. It definitely had a lot more energy and verve, but it didn't feel, and I still don't know if I necessarily can describe it, but I feel like Penny, because of her background and her brother, having this very similar attitude about like, just, we're here to put on a good show and have a good time doing it. It really translates into bringing the audience into a fun world and getting to play around in it. And that's what I get out of this episode, because even like Jim Lang playing himself as the host of the dating game, he actually has got great character actor chops.
Yeah. He's probably one of my favorite unexpected treats in a Laverne Shirley episode when it comes to non-actors doing acting.
Mm-hmm.
Another surprise is several members of the Spinners actually provide a highlight for an upcoming episode in season 8. We will get there.
Oh, cool.
But that's one of my favorite non-acting actors performances in a Laverne Shirley episode. It's a good one. That's really good. This is terrific. Okay, first off, we have to mention these credits are still not settled.
Yeah, they're still a mess. And I believe this is the one where the roller skating bit is like practically they used twice at the end to get their... Because it's sort of like they were... I don't know how they handled this edit, but like you can see there were certain splices that they kept okay, this part's finished, so we're going to cut and paste that into this next intro. But it's like it didn't... Like, it was almost like I wonder if they were getting the rushes for the B-roll and material for that in such an awkward way, and like they would go out, it's like, oh well, this is getting here, this is getting there, so it feels incredibly awkward. Even though we do finally have the Bardwells, I think, in this one, if I recall. We have they ride on the dress trolley.
Yes, to get into Bardwell's. And we see a moment of the girls getting, I think it's Laverne getting wrapped up in wrapping paper while trying to wrap a surfboard.
Surfboard, right. I was going to ask you about that. If you think that was done for this, or does that come up later in the show? But because you said that the Bardwell's interior for the customer service space doesn't get used again, right?
No, it gets you. The back room doesn't get used again. The front desk does get used a few times, but it's the job situation we don't focus on a whole ton in the
Hmm.
show. Not a whole ton. We won't see that area again, but not the whole back. But I'm pretty sure they filmed that for the credits, or it's an unused bit that didn't make it to the DVD from Candy is Dandy, because that does not show up in the future episode, as
Hmm.
far as I can recall.
Yeah. It could have just been, yeah, it could have been unused B-roll. It could have been a gag cut for, yeah, I'm very curious, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was interesting and very cute as well.
Yes, yes, it's cute. It really is adorable. The double roller skating thing, and the rest of the girls are kind of gliding, bending over to
Mm-hmm.
glide faster, and then you get to see them skating.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know where they had that Cowboy Bills mock-up, what they mocked up to make it look like Cowboy Bills, because they filmed all that stuff at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very curious about which exterior they mocked up to make it look like a real restaurant.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was Cowboy Bob's or something.
Cowboy Bills. It might have been a Roy Rogers or something. I
Uh,
don't know.
yeah, that's actually pretty likely. Yeah. Especially at that time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like fast food chains that you can tell this is loosely based on Roy Rogers, the
Oh,
Roy
yeah.
Rogers chain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
But,
as we said before. Yeah.
mhm.
Yes.
But yeah, as we go into the episode and kind of the first
Yes.
impressions of things, I mean, it's obvious the boys are going to get it that the girls are not going to end up on the dating game. It's kind of
Yeah.
there's a
Oh god.
because part of it's because that sort of quote unquote first act of that prologue scene in the beginning is just it goes on too long. It's you know that something's going to happen and they're not going to end up on the show.
Yeah.
Because you sort of used all the jokes you would have used with them in the dressing room or at the audition or whatever, and even the whole discussion with Rhonda when Rhonda comes in to help. It's what is that? I have had lots and lots of experience getting out of dresses.
Yes, I love that line.
God, which
I love Leslie Easterbrook so much as
oh, she's
Rhonda
so
in
great,
Blink.
and it's yeah, it's so weird that aside from this and Devil's Rejects, I don't think I've seen her in anything because I've never seen any of the Police Academy movies.
You should see the Police Academy movie. She's a blast, and she's kind of like a very much a prototype of a Rosa Diaz type of character in that movie. Except,
Oh,
except treated more as a TNA kind of
gotcha.
joke because it's the '80s and it's a booby movie. A set of booby movies still comes a set of kid movies,
Right.
like midstream.
Yeah, it's like suddenly it's Citizens on Patrol, right?
Yep, Citizens on Patrol.
Which
And then they did an animated series. Then it joins like RoboCop and all that being one of these R-rated movies. All of a sudden, it's a kids' property.
that still reminds me that the Toxic Crusader exists. God,
Toxie and the Toxic Crusaders. God, got my child.
I had a toy of that when I was
Oh,
a child,
gosh.
and I think my dad had one in his office too.
Yeah, I watched it when I was a kid too. I was like 12, 11. Yeah, that'd be
Awesome.
about right. Oh God, dude, they did that all the time in the '80s and the '90s, all the time. Yeah, before that, she's very much a prototype of that kind of character. She's very tough. It's very hard as nails.
Cool.
In the movies, as far as I can remember, it's been years since I've watched that series of films.
Yeah. But it's definitely, and I guess that's the thing is you see, I'm kind of glad you bring that up because it does also help to bring to mind one of the things I like about Rhonda is that she's cunning. She is this survivor and she's, dangerous in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, that line, I make a point of being nice to everyone. That way everyone owes me a favor. It's an interesting line in both regards because first of all, it's her being honest with the girls, but it's also her showing her fangs. Like, I helped you out. I'm going to want something in return for this.
Yeah. She's calculating, but it's not even it's sometimes calculating in a bitchy way, but not even in a cruel way. Sometimes she's just Rhonda.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in Hollywood for too long. She knows how the game goes.
Exactly. Yeah. She's the kind of character that would actually be actually good. The character that comes to mind when I think of it like that is William Holden in Sunset Boulevard. I could see her down the line ending up in a situation like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's not the pictures that get smaller.
Yeah.
Rhonda got too big for them. I
Oh,
can
good.
absolutely picture her being like a drive-in movie queen, a boom movie queen, eventually like a Mimi Van Doren like figure by the time
Oh
the
yeah,
80s roll around
yeah,
on
yeah. Kind of
Up
like
All Night and in the music videos. Yeah,
yeah, like a almost like a Sybil Danning or
yeah. Mimi
uh,
Van Doren, like I said. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, I could see her developing to that. But Rhonda eventually becomes more sympathetic, more layered.
Hmm.
Uh, turns into a different kind of person because mostly out of necessity.
Hmm.
Because again,
Yeah.
Laverne and Shirley don't get to interact too terribly much because Penny and Cindy are fighting that season, and then all of a sudden, boom, bam, season 8, we need a female character that will be Laverne's friend, and boom.
Yeah.
So in the end, yeah, she's calculating. She wants to get ahead. She's willing to step on a lot of people to get ahead. But in the end, she's not a horrible, horrible, horrible person.
Right.
Worth noting, Laverne finally made it to Fredericks of Hollywood.
She did.
Yeah,
Bummer she got a tear on a $10 dress.
I
Alas.
know,
Yeah.
I know. She didn't even get anything boobless or crotchless or anything. We know this episode's going to be explicit anyway because we have to talk about what Squiggy does with honey.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, let's just go. So that okay. So if we're gonna just go ahead and jump into that, is Penny basically naked under that thing? Because I did not see any panty line. There's a bit of butt cheek that shows in the tear, and
I'm 90% sure she has to be wearing underwear. 16-year-olds were allowed in the studio. She has to be wearing something underneath there, probably a one piece of some sort.
yeah,
Or
that's
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
yeah, that's my guess.
Um.
Because I don't think that would happen on the set of a sitcom.
Yeah. But
Eh,
in any case, though, it's very. I do love that first line. You know, we're auditioning for the dating game, not marked woman.
My note on this scene is the unbearable sapphicness of this moment.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And when Rhonda, you notice how Rhonda comes in and she kind of realizes they haven't noticed that she's there, so she does a little knock 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 hi ho, because
Yeah,
it's sort of like,
yeah,
are they getting into something? Because you can tell Rhonda totally sees the like verge
yeah,
of queerness of these two
yeah.
women.
Oh yeah, she sees that. She sees the weird repulsion attraction between the girls and the boys.
Mm-hmm.
She's aware of their dynamics just by looking at them and knows what to poke at.
It almost makes you wonder if Rhonda is almost sort of like a passive aggressive biggest fan of their little world, you know?
Yeah,
Like
it's
in
possible.
like if like I could almost see her like eventually going to Richie Cunningham with the story of being the roommate and saying I'm going to be the star, but it's going to be about me dealing with these roommates, and then selling him up that idea for a script.
Gosh, I can picture that. I can picture that story. I can picture oh god, maybe they get Jerry Callahan to write it.
Oh god. Ah, fuck you, Jerry.
Fuck Jerry Callahan. Fuck Jerry Callahan. Not in a fun way.
Not in the fun way. Yeah.
Anyway,
Uh
okay, so
yeah.
um the dress bit really is a classic. It
Mhm.
really is fun.
Well, I was going to say with the cramp and the spins and all that and
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely, 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 definitely. I absolutely adore how they managed to actually pull this together and manage to make it look incredible. That is how you know how hard the physical comedy is on the show to put
mhm.
together.
Mhm.
Just imagine what it's like where Penny's like flying blind, that dress would chill over her face, and Cindy has to help her maneuver around. And
Mhm.
just imagine how hard that was to block, to rehearse, and just yeah, that they're troopers.
You gotta wonder how much they had to, you know, how often they had to just bolt the couch to the floor because they're bonking it so
Yeah,
hard with so much force that
yeah,
if it, because that's the thing is, you know, that's where a stunt can go wrong is if something's not stable where it needs to be and you're, you know, again, flying blind, as you put it, you know, you put that too much momentum and you move the couch, and that's when you like twist your leg. That's when you fall off, yeah, because you're not able to aim where you're landing on the couch, and therefore you slide off to the side because the cushion, you know, gives in this one weird way or yada yada. So
yeah,
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 it's
yeah,
a really
yeah,
good physical comedy bit, and
yeah, yeah.
it's really good because most of this episode, outside of the antenna gag through most of it's going to be talking for the jokes, and it's great that they get this physical comedy to kind of get the episode started, sort of like we're going to give you your fix of what you expect out of Laverne and Shirley. Then it's going to be about the boys and about the game itself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The boys kind of enter from stage right, and they totally steal the show and steal the episode.
Yeah, they do.
As it should be.
Yeah. I mean, but still, you
ahead.
could have worse people there are worse people you could have as neighbors.
Hello. That's our hello gag for the episode. Laverne is wearing her awesome checkerboard dress. There are 2 checkerboard dresses that Penny and Cindy had for this season, and they both look great in those dresses. That was very nice to see that dress. Why would the boys want the girls to use vacuum cleaner bags?
Well, see, they're just trying to get in on the new Twitch trend before anyone else does.
Dusting for prints?
Wow.
What?
I can't believe.
To be honest, at this point, look at the true crime world. And
I did not think of that, but that's perfect. They would want all the dust to dust for fingerprints.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's
what
what
idea.
That's a great idea. And that's probably like if they're working on some El Cheapo exploitation movie, that might have been what happened. It's like, hey, we're running short on props. We got to get this. Oh, and by the way, we need some dust for the haunted house, or we need some dust for the detective scene where they got to check the body, where they got the crime scene. And it's like, oh my god.
I can picture Squiggy having a cute little dust bunny collection too.
Aw, that's so Squiggy.
Yeah. You got to keep them clean. You got to keep them separate so they don't fight.
But that moves us into Cowboy Bill's.
I wanted to notice though, Lenny does touch Laverne's back for like no reason. He doesn't touch Shirley when she passes by.
Well, yeah,
like,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
Penny had a very nice back.
Anyway,
I guess you could say Penny got back. Hey.
Yes, this moves us on to the next scene, as you were saying, with Edna.
Yes.
And Frank.
Making sawdust.
Making her own sawdust because everybody is cheap.
Right. We're smart. We cut it ourselves. We save expense and we get exercise at the same time. We get exercise. Yeah, I'm going to go to the back and get some more wood. And she yells out, while you're at it, see, you can bring me back some beavers. And I just thought, cute.
Yeah.
That was clever.
Oh, yeah. The fact that they won't give him that cash is hilarious to me. You have to make your own. We're too cheap about it.
Oh, no. Yes, that part is great, but I was commenting that he's getting wood and she mentions beavers.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
From a couple of beavers. That's a double hello gag.
That is a double, yeah. Edna! Yes.
Edna! Like, I'm so happy. It's so cute. And I feel bad for Edna, too.
I know.
Having to sit there and, like, go to a garden shop, my dude. Go to a garden shop.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how gently Lenny sets Edna down to tell her this news.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about the aphids, which was the good part of the story.
I thought that was a good part.
The line "edible bachelors" is amazing.
Yes. Yeah, there are some wonderful zingers in this episode, and that's definitely one of them.
Yes. I made a specific note as we verge into this very long scene that basically comprises the whole rest of the episode. Mm-hmm. The rapid fire dialogue is classic. Mm-hmm. It's really all you guys think. There's so much good stuff happening here. Oh my god. We're having the old dating game courtesy. I'm afraid it's dead, Jim.
God, yes. Oh, there is so much going on. Before we get too far ahead, I want to get into the, at least the in front of the camera notes, because at this point we're getting into the sequence of starting the dating game, and it's off, and we have our introductions of Jim Lang as himself, Eileen Graff as Monique, and Frank Ashmore as Bob Gattenby.
Yes.
So, Jim Lang as himself. He was an actor in the 50s and a couple of TV appearances. It seems like his start was really as a radio announcer and announcer in other shows, such as The Ford Show in 1962. So he jumped into being a host of shows in the mid-60s with the dating game in 65, and he ended up hosting it for over 20 years until it ended in 1986. which means he was, and as for anyone who doesn't know, he was indeed hosting the dating game at the time of the episode. He also got little guest appearances and hosted events here and there, and he even played himself in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind for good measure as his last performance in 2002. He did pass away at the age of 81, but that was a pretty good run there. So, well done, Jim. So, Eileen Graff as Monique. This was an interesting one. This took a little bit of research for me. She actually hails from the Graff musical family because her father is Jerry Graff of the Pied Pipers. So her acting career got started in a two-parter for Barnaby Jones and a recurring role in Supertrained for 3 episodes. This is her only Laverne Shirley appearance, unfortunately, but she would drop in on Mork and Mindy a couple times before taking the part of Alicia Lewis in Lewis and Clark the following year. She continued acting through the 80s in various shows, a couple of movies here and there, and was actually most recently seen in the series Hearts of Dixie as Mrs. Clora Tucker. So she's kind of still working, done a lot of musical stuff, done a lot of singing stuff, but yeah, that was kind of cool. She's fantastic in this episode. We'll get to her and talking about her soon. So Frank Ashmore is Bob Gattenby. He was most well known for playing Martin in the V miniseries and V the Final Battle before playing a totally different character in V the series. But Gattenby was a TV actor all through the 80s with soap spots like Days of Our Lives, a bit part in Airplane 2, an episode of Hunter, so on. But he would even jump into video game voice acting roles such as Mafia 2, Dead Space 3, and The Bureau XCOM Declassified. The latter two of which, by the way, are actually interesting games that have really troubled development and kind of contentious opinions about whether they were good games or not. So interesting that the poor guy got to be in the 1-2 punch of Dead Space 3 and the Bureau XCOM Declassified. But he was even in 3 episodes of Arrested Development as Mr. F number 1. And his most recent role was in the faith-based film Heavenly Deposit, which also probably would work as a sacrilegious porn title. Anyway.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Listen, like we said, this is going to be an explicit episode. We're going to go places.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, the show goes places, so we got to follow it. So.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to follow it down the honey trap.
Yep. That's what Squiggy calls his girlfriend's vagina. Anyway, go ahead.
So that gets us mostly our actor notes. For directing stuff, this was Penny, the goddess herself, returns. This is the third of her four episodes for the show, with her final directing turn for Laverne and Shirley coming later this season. She previously directed The Exquisite, Squiggy in Love, and Duke of Squigman. Similarly, not to overwhelm herself as actor and director, she chooses another boy-centric episode. Very smart, Penny.
Yeah.
And the credited writer is Al Idekman. This was his 6th episode as writer, still has 5 more to go. Around this time, he was doing a bit of work on Bad News Bears as a story editor and had been a story editor on Laverne and Shirley for about a year, and he'll continue with the show until its conclusion.
Al is a good dude. I've had friends who have interviewed him say he's very warm and giving and erudite about the show.
Aw.
So I've heard nothing but positive things about Al. And there's a reason, I think, why Penny kept picking the episodes that featured mostly the boys. David was the one who encouraged her to get into directing in the first place and said, you have that eye, you need to pursue a directing career. So it's perhaps out of that she chose to do that.
So I guess that gets us into this whole sequence of the dating game itself. Now, I'm not super familiar with the dating game show. Was this the 60s era look of the set, or was this the late 70s, early 80s look of the set?
Generally, this is how the set looked in the 60s and the 70s. There was a huge makeover, obviously, with the 80s and the 90s, and then, it left the airwaves and then came back, and then left the airwaves and then came back. Comes back whenever, like a network like ABC wants to fill time in the summer. It'll be in the primetime lineup. They last launched it, a celebrity dating game, which just got canceled as a press time. As we're recording this in 2022, it just got canceled, and they're not bringing it back this summer. But, yeah, that's just generally what it looked like. I can actually get pictures that we can use to compare and contrast.
Hey, future me, can you put that up in the YouTube version of this episode? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, future Chris. Yeah, this is a pretty good representation of it.
So
right
we have a lot to go into with this episode, with this whole sequence. There are so many jokes, there are so many details. David owns this
God.
whole episode. This is one of David Lander's highest points as an actor, as a comedic actor.
Oh yeah. David just goes for it. David embodies Squiggy with both confidence and lack of confidence. And this is probably one of his most bravo performances as Squig in the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a darn good one for him. To contrast with this, Michael has to be kind of shyer and quieter most of the time, though Lenny does have his moments in this episode. But he bounces between being the Lenny that's too shy to talk to a girl he likes, and the Lenny who will blurt out things like, "So she cut her thumbs off and stuffed her into the oven."
Right. It's like you heard what I was going for. Yeah, the metaphor. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful metaphor. Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good, and it's such a Lenny and Squiggy logic. This also feels like a wonderful return for the boys to being less just sitcom comedic archetypes, and back to how David and Michael talked about these being based on guys they knew. Yeah. And that these are the guys that, that are awkward and, sleazy and etc. These people, you grow up with them, you go to college with them, you deal with them in high school, etc. And this really stood out as a great example of that to me, where they're still very lovable, but it's like they're the lovable version of these archetypes. It's very they're over the top and they're very intense.
Yes. Well, I mean, Lenny does literally throw himself at Monique in the end and start licking her calf.
Right.
In desperation.
Just give me the legs. I'll take the legs.
Just one leg.
Oh man. Yeah.
And the whole thing.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I love the when the Bachelorette herself, Monique, is brought out. The former centerfold, the music continues to be very 70s, and on the audio you could hear David just howling. So even when it cuts back to the girls with Carmine and Sonny, you could hear it's like, wah! It's God, just I remember her from the audition. Her first two questions were just heavy breathing.
Yeah, that's a great line. That's a really great line, and of course, no wonder they picked him. Then they picked her.
Yep.
She manages to make them pant, so to speak.
And I have to say, the hello gag in the episode is, you see it coming a mile away, and it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
The payoff to it as well at the end, which
I just like the way he said hello.
Oh man, it's great.
Perfect. Everything about this is perfect. Everything about it is perfect.
So, as I'm going through my notes, we now have to. I have to ask you: do we have a poor Len counter at the ready for this one?
We don't, but we should. It's impossible to avoid feeling bad for him, except when he and Squiggy are sitting there telling the world that the girls totally, I guess, went all the way with them in the Tunnel of Love. The girls do not deny this, by the way. They're just terrified that they said it on national television.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, and my question is it all the way, or is it just like naked makeouts with hand jobs and maybe a third base or something?
Melted together into a single heaving ball of flesh. That's at least
but if you have, if it goes, queer as heck, which this episode is, very queer. So that also would work where it's like, it's like you're making out and dry humping somebody, and it's like you turn over your shoulder. It's like, Cheryl, your tushy's bonking into my leg there.
Yeah. Why are you on the floor? Get on the seat. You get on the floor. It's because you're taking up half of the seat. You tune me into a fight. I don't think Shirley would go all the way with Squig, especially at this point in canon, or in that point in canon in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
I think Laverne would.
Yeah, Laverne would, but Shirley, I think, she's getting there, but she's not there yet. Yeah. As you said, and also that's the other catch is we've talked about the Shirley Squiggy hate sex.
Yes.
And the catch is good hate sex is private.
Yeah.
It's a thing you do with, in private, so that it's the intimacy of that one-on-one, because it's brawling, it's a brawling, but instead of knocking each other out, you make each other come at the end. And
and they're very much equals in this kind of like physicality, as we see, because Squiggy's not dumb enough to fully square up against Laverne because he knows Laverne could probably murder him. But he actually puts his fists up when they fight in the tag scene of not the tag scene, the last scene of Drive. She said when the girls pull the boys off of their dates. Laverne threatens to punch Lenny. He cowers away. Shirley shoves Squiggy. Squiggy shoves her back. The two of them square up with their fists clenched.
That's right. That's right.
That's the kind of hate sex we're talking about. We're talking about to the bone, to the death kind of hate sex, the two of them, but hate and love at the same time.
Right. We're talking the bit that, they would survive, but be covered in more, the internal bodily fluids and not just the ones that are typically external after coitus.
Oh my. Yes, they would smash each other into see in a way.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, putting those sort of things aside though, but yeah, it's a very
Sorry for Len counter, you said.
Yeah, sorry for Len counter. And because I would be a sauerkraut, and Jim Lang's confused face, and he goes, "It was my only choice as a child."
Yeah. Well, we already know that he got his lunch money from the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
His father was a poor busboy. That was the only money that was coming in, at least until his sister could work. His mother abandoned them and before that she physically abused him. So, yeah, that's perfectly plausible for him.
Mm-hmm.
Sad and incredibly plausible.
Yeah.
I think I moved her.
No, she's still there.
Yep.
Which my next note after that is the boom mic. Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's Squiggy trying to get his whole face into it. Lenny's absolute fear of it and being on camera. Period.
A lawnmower.
A lawnmower.
Did he say a lawnmower? He certainly did.
Yes, indeed. Lint. Have you never been in love? That's my favorite.
Oh, Lint.
Yes. The fact that Squiggy apparently does his laundry in the tub at the same time, apparently to save time.
Yeah, totally.
He's taking a bath.
That's yeah. And yeah, there's so many. I mean, there's from the bedtime stories and the dark ending of the bedtime story, the romantic evening.
Yes. Thou gets toast.
Yeah, go out with me and thou gets toast. Well, okay,
Yes.
number 3. What would you do? What else would you do on a romantic evening? Yeah, I just, and I love the reactions. I love how Laverne watching on the TV is her eyes are bugging out, yeah, because she's trying to read his lips.
Yeah, she wants to know more so badly. Okay, if you did you read David's lips?
I did not
during this.
I did not.
He's saying "fuck her eyes out."
Nice.
I would take a bottle of honey and fuck her eyes out, and then you obviously don't see his face during the majority of this.
Right,
so
right.
You can imagine what he's actually saying.
And Eddie's delivery of let's go.
Go
No. You go ahead. You're in the middle of a thought.
Lenny doesn't know what he does with honey. That's the amazing thing. He looks stunned about the story. But Carmine knows. Why does Carmine know what Squiggy does with honey?
Because he made the mistake of asking them for something when they were neighbors.
I was going to say prison 3-way gone wrong.
Wow.
Silence for that.
Wow. If you could see my face right now.
Well, we established in later canon that Carmine has gone with the boys to their little rounds of women's prisons, where they do conjugal visits.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's what no, they did not. No, I don't think they would ever end up in a caged heat situation. No.
Okay.
Different idea. Completely different idea. Different thoughts. But yeah. I can imagine that, or Squiggy bragging to him about it, or Squiggy's done it to him.
Could be. Yeah.
Considering how queer this episode is, that's a possibility.
It's completely a possibility at this point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
and it's great. We're recording this in the middle of Pride Month too, so that's great. That's
Happy
great.
Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month.
Pride Month. Yeah. By the way, at around this point about the lint, my mom actually called out when we were watching the episode. She called it that Monique was going to pick Squiggy.
Aww. How did she guess?
I don't know. I didn't ask her, but it's amazing.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. Honestly, I love the way the show puzzles that out and how the denouement happens. And poor Lenny being the poorest Lenny in the world. I wanted to point something out about this whole scene, this whole dating game scene. Lenny honestly describes himself as an ice cream vendor and an ice cream man, while Squiggy describes himself as a top Hollywood agent with a collection of beautiful women. And that says everything you need to know about these characters.
Yeah. Yep. There is a humble honesty that is actually a bit self-defeating and self-deprecating.
Yeah.
And there, because I mean, if he's an ice cream man, he's also a business owner, you know?
Yeah.
So, this is like, dude, you need to talk yourself up a little bit more. You get,
Yeah.
like, not only should you talk yourself up a little bit more, you're allowed to, given that that's the truth of the circumstances.
Yeah.
And then Squiggy has to create this, and especially as we saw in Duke with Squigman, he has to do this kind of fantasy world of, what he is, because he can't really face the truth very easily.
Yeah. He has to self-aggrandize, because if he doesn't self-aggrandize, he will hurt himself, basically.
Exactly.
Basically, this is true. This is just a Boffo episode. Just Boffo. One hit after the other. Yes, my dove. Yes, my pigeon. And, of course, my darling.
Mm-hmm.
Which links in from Michael's real life, because he calls like almost every woman on the planet he likes darling.
Aww.
You ever noticed that, though?
Now that it's one of those, now that you've pointed it out, I'm starting to notice. I can see that, but
so that is Twitter behavior. You notice that he also calls his wife darling, but he also calls everybody else that. So
right.
Yeah. I just think that's nice. That's a nice little bit of Michaelism that slipped into the script.
Aw, that's cute.
So.
Well, yeah, but pet names are fun though. I mean, your missiles and honey bunches and all of that.
Yeah. Dear.
But
Go ahead.
So anyway, though, unfortunately, though, poor Lenny, just got to face it. Monique can't see the trees from the faucet.
Yeah. The way he has this absolute breakdown is heartrending.
Yeah.
He goes, but I thought I did everything right. I did ask all the questions right, and he sees it just collapses to his knees.
Yep.
Poor boy.
Well, at least he gets a light year's supply of turtle wax, but then it leads to another horrible story.
I know. God. That poor turtle killing itself trying to scrape Lenny's name off of its back. Like, what did he do? I know he must have done that when he was a kid, because normally he has a good sense of empathy when it comes to living animals, as we saw in the Buttercup episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he did this, like, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I telling you this?
I don't know, Leonard.
As you noted, Jim Lang is really, really good in this episode.
He's so good. Yeah, his comedic timing with them is just like, I think he probably enjoyed the hell out of hosting the show, but this is a guy who could have been a fantastic character actor in comedy.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. He did a real good job, and he did a good job of adding just the right amount of funny without detracting from the boys being the boys. Exactly. Now remember, keep the honey away from the children. And then Dave goes, "You should, Jen."
Gosh.
So then Squig just goes off on Monique for daring to break Lenny's heart because Lenny wanted it more than him.
Right, and apparently. I will say that is bro behavior. You don't, you break your bro. It's like you broke my bro's heart. Go fuck yourself, you harlot, you troll. You should be ashamed of yourself.
She devil. Those are she devils. If you go with this man, I'll sue.
This is a very scary guy. I love her delivery.
She's good. She knocks it out of the park. She's great. She manages to make you believe that in this nice, this perfectly nice and perfectly vacuous girl. There's nothing wrong with her. She's just like, she's a rocket scientist. She's okay. She's an okay girl.
Yeah, it's also a case of that she's very unaware of the effects that she has on people because, it's because like with Bob, like it's the case of where And I actually kind of love that this also shows with the dating game that, because all three of the bachelors were kind of, bad dates.
Yeah.
Lenny and Squiggy are not the greatest dates, as the girls have attested to.
Yep.
They're better dates with the right people, which is to say that's why High Neighbor Book 2 is a pretty good date, all things considered. It's a memorable date. But Ganby, I mean, he comes up and says, like, you just made a big mistake. And with the most condescending, like, almost like he's going to slap her kind of voice.
Yeah.
I used a particularly strong bit of language afterward that I actually won't say on the show, but it involves my favorite curse word. But
so basically, Monique dodged a bullet here.
Exactly. I think so.
She picked Lenny. If she picked Lenny, it would have turned out okay.
It would have turned out okay, but he probably would have brought Squig along because he was, shy, and that would have been a problem. But
well, we do have examples of Lenny wanting to be alone with girls, like Bridget and Lenny's crush, and there's further examples coming up in season 6 and season 7 where we'll see this.
Okay, that's a good point.
So it's possible it could have been talked up. So Lenny was pretty much the only option for her here that would have even turned out decently for her. And that's not just on Squig. That's just Squig was not about to have it because, he took her rejecting Lenny as a big insult to Lenny.
Right.
So this ending is extremely gay. It's gay, 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 and also bros before hoes at the same time, which is two separate statements and yet two concurrent statements.
Right. And I love even Jim tries to get in on it and ask him, you guys don't need a chaperone, do you? I love that. I love that. Like he's sort of like, after all of that and seeing their dedication to each other, he's sort of like, I want in. Can I get on some of that?
Yeah. We're going to France. We're going to France. It's a great moment.
God. And then the dancing at the end, the dating game kiss. Oh God. And David owns this episode. In many ways, I almost wonder if like this was Penny's thank you to him for getting her to direct.
Possibly. But Michael in this moment, in that dance sequence, is made out of rubber.
He is. Yeah.
Totally made out of rubber. This is great. It's a whole great thing. So you meet the girl of your dreams in France. Number 2, she used to call me. He enjoys Squiggy, wherever that is.
Oh, there's so many good lines.
Okay. So there's so much good going on here.
And we didn't even talk about the antenna joke.
I was actually about to say we need to talk a little bit more about the girls and Carmine and Sonny here.
Yes.
Because they have this whole framing device where they get to do a lot of physical stuff with big balls of tinfoil and hats made out of tinfoil and big long sheets made out of tinfoil. The girls have not replaced that set since Milwaukee, since the set that they won with Richie and Potsy, have they?
No. So that means they've had this TV for going on close to 6 years?
At least a decade. It's got to be close to a decade at this point.
That's right, because of the time jump, Yeah.
Season 2 happened all the way back,
57, 58, right? Yeah, or 59-ish, yeah. So
somewhere around 59, yeah.
So this is about 5 or 6 years. So it's half a decade for sure. And I also love my mother was the one who pointed out that there's they make a tinfoil crown and it keeps changing whose head it's on.
Uh-huh.
And it's like it starts as a halo and then it slowly becomes a tiara and then it becomes a crown.
Yep. That's so cute. That's
it's so cute.
Great. That's pure Penny putting business like that in.
Yeah.
You can tell
totally.
That's her idea. She was so detail orientated.
She was.
For everything I heard about her directing style. So yeah.
And that's something that I also love, like in Squiggy in Love. There's that bit with the where they do the simultaneous. It's I can't hear this. No, and then all three of them. It's like move the table and the break room. This is like
forward.
And this is like that same synchronous joke, but done in a different way. It's kind of like it's sort of like how you see a John Woo movie and he has a guy with 2 guns, but then you see another John Woo movie with a guy with 2 guns, but he does something different with the 2 guns.
Yeah.
That's
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. And if anybody thinks that I'm weird for doing that, you really don't know me, and you don't know John Woo movies. Oh. Go to hell. Anyway.
Hey, stop. Nice. Anyway.
Okay. Anyway. So, but it is absolute treasure. All of these little details and touches. It's Yeah, this is, I think, I don't know if I will call it my favorite episode of the season so far, but it's the best one, easily.
Oh, yeah. This is definitely going to be in my top 5, for sure.
Yeah.
No way it's going to avoid it. It might be my pick as the best episode of the season. There's some real prime contenders that are going to be vying for that spot. I think it might be this, and then an upcoming episode, and then Born Too Late. Probably my top 3. Possibly.
Possibly. I will say no more other comments than that because I don't want to spoil my opinions for later episodes we've watched but haven't recorded yet. Yes.
Soon. But yeah, this is a darn good. We have to mention though the fact that the boys actually mention the girls are in the phone book, which is kind of terrible. And then they start getting obscene phone calls. And...
Yeah. Oh, that yell from Shirley, and then the casual. It's for you.
It's for you. And then they don't take the phone off the cradle. They just leave it ringing, and they said go up to I guess presumably Sonny and Carmine's apartment. Yeah, they just say Sonny and Carmine's apartment to watch the show.
To watch The Fugitive, right?
Watch Fugitive. Yep.
Yep.
They could have been up there in the first place. They didn't. I don't know why not.
2 cute things I wanted to mention: the girls sitting in their respective guys' laps during one of the scenes where they come back, which is really cute.
Yes.
And then the Sonny doing the absolute passing of the test. You're the only girl I ever look at.
Yes. Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it, guys. That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm. From those who know.
Oh gosh, but yeah, that's a really nice thing. Sonny and Laverne, they get a lot of build up, and well.
We'll get there.
Anyway, we'll get there. We will definitely get there. I want to make note before we rank this baby. There is a moment where Squiggy starts applauding himself when they mention his name, and he quickly stops.
Yes.
David is masterful in this episode, as you pointed out multiple times. David's masterful in this episode. It's one of his masterclass acting showcases, and that's just one small thing. Michael gets to do has a lot of little moments, a lot of little bits, but he gets his showcases in different episodes. There's an episode coming up where he gets something, and of course he's already had stuff like Lenny's crush and all that stuff where you really get to act his butt off. So this is definitely a David episode. Watch the man when you rewatch this episode. Okay. Yeah.
Right on. So okay. So ranking.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I think this is going to be a solid 10 for me. There's not, I think, anything I would change. This is the way I would want, this is the script I would want to have, that I would want to direct, and done many of the ways I would want to do it.
Yes. My note for this is 10-10, no notes. That's literally what my note about this is. It says 10-10, no notes, and that's how I feel about this episode in a lot of ways. I think maybe the part where the boys blurt out that the girls are in the phone book, and then they get obscene phone calls is maybe, but the girls handle it with such humor that's not as offensive as other things that happen.
Yeah.
So I will give it a pass. This is a 10. This is a 10. This is a classic of the California years. This is a must-see episode for the series. Watch it.
Yep. It's very good.
Yeah.
And, at the very least, the big winner of the dating game is the audience, because, wow, we have some good television.
Oh, yeah. This is an important one. Train your eyeballs on it.
Yeah. Train your eyeballs. You got to give them that train. You got to go in there and do some eye squats and some eye cardio and all that sort of stuff. And a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2, just like in Rocco. And then you got to go get your eyeballs onto this and train yourself to watch it on a train.
Yeah.
I really don't know where I'm going with this. I just wanted to make some
I don't know.
joke.
Wrap the episode before your brain dies, Chris. Wrap it.
Okay. All right. But we're done though, right? We're done with this one? All right. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us for Night After Night and not using us like a worn out old Kleenex box. And if you would like to know more, you can get yourself a year's supply of fictional turtle wax that does not actually exist by going to Night After Night PC or Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, or YouTube. and joining us, leaving comments, maybe possibly getting in on them watch-alongs we have every month or so, or whatever the heck, we try to do seasonally in some sense, but you know how it is. There's always a season, there's always a holiday, there's always a something, there's always a man, always a lighthouse, and all that stuff. Anyway, as my brain is starting to go into super caffeinated goofy overdrive, I'm going to toss it over back to Lisa here with what we have next on the podcast. And I saw someone, Lisa, that looked a lot like you, but kind of not. It was weird. Yeah, tell us about this other episode.
Was she wearing a blonde wig? In the next episode, Shirley thinks she's found a pot of gold in a handsome pediatrician, but it turns out his recently separated wife looks exactly like her. Also, Laverne plays the guitar a lot. This is the other woman.
All right. Well, we will see how the woman and the other woman fare next week. Thanks again, everybody. See you next time.
Bye, y'all. Remember, keep the honey away from the kids.